Welcome to my review of the Radiance Technology Independence Bowl. We've got 8-4 UAB matching up against the number 13 team in the nation, 10-2 BYU at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. BYU favored by only, now this is quite a surprise, favored by only 7 points and given a 61.6% chance of winning. Both of those numbers seem very low, considering that this is a BYU team that has beaten 6 Power 5 programs this year. I'm going to go off on a bit of a tangent. Please, UAB listeners, this is not a personal attack against you, and I want you to stay because this is not just a BYU preview. This is a BYU and UAB. I'm going to go through the records, overall reviews, looking at the schedules of these two teams, wins, losses, how they performed. I'm going to look at the top players for each program and give a keys to the game. This is an overall preview, but I do want to say this up front, that this is an absolute disgrace that BYU, after this historic season that they have had, ends up in this bowl game. Now, UAB, a team that has played excellently this year, 8-4, has some quality wins, has some tough losses, a good team, and who deserves a good bowl game. But this is shooting above their weight here because if BYU was in a Power 5 conference, they would not be in this matchup. There is no other team in the nation that is ranked within the top 15 that has beaten 6 Power 5 teams that has been put into a bowl game of this low scale. BYU, I'm not saying that they deserve necessarily to be in a New Year's Six, so I think that should have been on the table, but they definitely deserve a mid to upper level Power 5 team based on the way that they have played this year. It is an absolute disgrace. One last stab in the back before they joined the Big 12, I guess. It is an absolute disgrace that they ended up in this bowl game. Now, like I said, it's not a personal attack against UAB. I've been impressed with how UAB has performed this year. I've watched them play throughout the season. My second team, Liberty, ended up playing them this season. Obviously, that was a win by Liberty, so sorry. Again, don't mean to diss you, UAB there. But I've watched them play other times this season. I've been impressed by them. But BYU is on a whole different level. BYU right now is basically, while a lot of people might not consider them this, I consider them a Power 5 program who played like a Power 5 team this year, who had an excellent season overall, and has ended up with the short end of the stick in this matchup. So BYU only favored by 7 points. I don't know how it's that low because this is a BYU team that this is not an even matchup in this game. BYU favored by 61.6% chance. This is the first given a 61.6% chance for an ESPN of winning this game. This is the first ever meeting between these two teams. I've noticed a little bit of a trend in the bowl games this season where the powers that be seem to be matching teams that have never played each other, maybe going for uniqueness, but that's not worth sacrificing the matchup that this could have been. I mean, look, if this was BYU against a mid-level SEC team, I mean, that would still probably be below their level, but it would be exciting to watch, or another Pac-12 team. I mean, BYU has taken the Pac-12 to the woodshed this year. It'd be great to go in there and see if there's any left that'd be willing to play them, to go watch them beat up, well, it'd be hard to say which team they could go. Maybe UCLA. I would love to. UCLA versus BYU, in my mind, would have been an outstanding matchup, a close matchup of two quality teams. That's the game that we should be watching right now, not versus UAB. UAB again, I'm saying it again. They deserve a good bowl game, but this is too good. And honestly, it's not fair to UAB because this is a program in BYU that is far beyond their level right now. Record previews overall, I was predicting for UAB that they'd have a 9-3 season, ended up with an 8-4 just below. Athlon Sports projecting the same, so both of us just off by 1 on that. BYU, a little bit of an opposite story, and this wasn't just me. I talked to lots of other BYU fans out there who were kind of expecting a little bit of a rebuild year this season, but they had a very good year, obviously, with a 10-2 record, and if not for a couple of close losses, back-to-back losses to Boise and Baylor, it would have been an undefeated season. So I was projecting an 8-4 based on just how the season worked out last year, playing a weak schedule, having to go through a quarterback change after losing their record, losing one of their top program quarterbacks last season, but they played, overall weak record. Overall, it was really hard to judge them, especially with that loss to Coastal Carolina. It was really hard to judge how BYU would do. I thought they maybe were shooting above their weight last season, maybe performing better than they would have otherwise if they were playing their normal season, but they proved me completely wrong. 6 Power 5 wins, proved Athlon Sports wrong as well. I was saying 8-4, Athlon was saying 7-5, so at least I had a little bit more faith in them than that. But 10-2 record overall, the outstanding season by BYU. So worst loss on the schedule here for UAB, just numerically overall, just as far as score differential goes, definitely to Liberty. 12-36 loss to Liberty. My Flames ended up 7-5, just like Boise State. Both of my teams ended up 7-5 this year. So that was a bad loss by UAB there. Not because Liberty's a bad team, but because just overall it was the biggest loss of the year, besides the loss to Georgia by UAB. BYU, their worst loss was to my other team, Boise State. Boise State beat them 17-26 at BYU, but it's a rivalry game. The Baylor loss actually a little bit more unexplainable. Baylor maybe just a better team overall, even though I think BYU could have taken them. I was predicting a win by BYU in that one, but the Boise State loss, Boise State. It's a rivalry game. Boise State always able to surprise and beat BYU taking the loss in that one. But other than that, they've got 6 Power 5 wins. Many impressive wins here. I mean, they knocked off USC just prior to ending the season. And then they have wins on Arizona State, Utah, Arizona State, Washington State, UVA, USC, and one more, which I'm totally blanking on. But they've had an amazing season this year, taking down Power 5 opponents. This looked like it was going to be one of the toughest schedules ever for BYU, and they rose to the challenge and got a lot more wins than anybody was expecting for them here. So, yeah, they also beat Arizona, so both teams out of Arizona. So, big season beat by BYU, and they definitely deserve better than this bowl game. That'll be the last thing I say on that. So, best wins by these programs, UAB. Probably the best win by them would be against UTEP. They didn't get a lot of quality wins this season, so they got a win against UTEP, 42-25. A good win against UTEP. Of course, a team that Boise State also beat. But BYU, lots of Power 5 teams to pick from. Whoever you think is going to be the best win. I think the best win was against Utah, even though it was before their quarterback change. It's a little bit different than the Utah team that finished the season. But a 17-26 win against an in-state rival there, against a team that ended up 10-3 and winning the Pac-12. So that definitely is probably the best record builder. And that's another thing. This is a BYU team that beat Utah, that beat a Pac-12 champion, and they ended up in this bowl game. Absolutely despicable. And then just, again, stab in the back before moving to the big. Hey, you're going to the Big 12 soon. You won't have to worry about this. But it's another painful reminder of what happens when you're on the outside looking. When you're on the outside looking in, when you're in the Group 5 bubble. Don't forget about us, a group of 5 teams, and our struggle when you get into the Power 5. Keep the perspective there, BYU. That's my only request. All right, top players for UAB is going to be their running back, McBride. He's ran for over 1,000 yards, 1,188 yards rushing, 12 touchdowns, 6.8 yards per carry. For BYU, they also have a very talented running back. Actually, more yards overall here. Tyler Algier, 1,414 yards rushing, 20 touchdowns, and he has 5.7 yards per carry. He is an absolute bowling ball. I think this phrase is a bowling ball with knives on it. I mean, he is an absolute bowling ball when he gets on the field, but he also has top-end speed as well. A very, very impressive running back who's going to be key to this victory here. Now, talking about keys to the game, keys to victory, for UAB, hold BYU to under 100 yards rushing. So hold Algier in check. That's going to be their key. If they can hold Algier in check, they're going to have a good chance of winning this one. Nothing against the BYU quarterbacks. They're great. Hall and Romney are both very capable options. Of course, Hall, the main quarterback here for BYU, but Romney also a good option there, a little bit more of a pocket passing quarterback. Both of them are good options, but when you make BYU one-dimensional, it definitely takes away a big part of who they are, which is a balanced attack that uses the run game to set up the passing game. And Hall and Romney have been at times a little bit unpredictable back there, making some mistakes when it's all on them. And the 2 losses that BYU had in both of those games, they were held to under 100 yards rushing in both of those matchups against Boise State and then Baylor. If you force them to be one-dimensional, you're still going to have to put up the points. I mean, the BYU defense has shown an ability at times to stay. I know that the defense is not necessarily the favorite part of the BYU team overall. There's been a lot of critiques against the defense. But this is definitely a defense that I think has played a very tough offensive schedule and performed well against it. And I think that should be taken into perspective. So if you can take away the running game, at least you're going to give your offense a chance to win this game for UAB. Now for BYU, your goal, your key to this game is beat UAB into a pulp. Embarrass them. again, this is not a personal attack against UAB, but this is a despicable move to put a team of this level quality against a team like UAB. And it's not the first time this happened. I mean, Boise State in 2011 lost one game, was ranked in the top 10, and ended up facing an Arizona State team that was 7-5 or 8-4 that season, unranked. I think we were 7-5 that season, and destroyed them. This is a pattern that happens time after time after time again. It's disgusting, and BYU needs to prove that this is a mistake that needs to be corrected. You know how it gets corrected? You make every bowl game, other than the CFP, you make every bowl game at large spots, and you put the best teams placing the best teams, the teams that deserve to be matched up highly, which includes the top of the group of 5 and the top of the Power 5, and the bottom tier teams or mid-level teams in the group of 5 and the Power 5, they end up facing off against each other, and you don't have a situation where you have a 10-2, top 15, 6-win Power 5 team like BYU facing off against a small school, UAB, a small school. I mean, they got rid of their football program a few years back and just brought it back. No one's going to argue that UAB isn't a small school. So you have a small school like UAB facing off against what is, in all essence, a Power 5 team in the Group of 5 class. I mean, they're in the same zone that Boise State is, where they're basically a Power 5 program that is classed within the Group of 5 because that's where they're currently playing, even though BYU, I think, is for a long time proven that they don't deserve to be in that class there. But you have a team like BYU, 10-2, ranked number 13, going up against a Conference USA team that isn't even the winners of their conference. I mean, this isn't even the Conference USA champions. If BYU was facing UTSA, that might be a little bit of a different discussion. 11-1 UTSA matching up against BYU, that would be at least a decent matchup. But this isn't. And BYU needs to prove that this is a mistake that needs to be corrected going forward. And they are doing this for all the little guys out there. Not that BYU is a little guy necessarily anymore, but for all the Group of 5 teams that have ever been, all the top tier Power 5 teams in the Group of 5 mindset, in the Group of 5 field, all the Group of 5 teams that have ever been disrespected, BYU is doing this for them, and they need to go out and destroy this UAB Blazers team and get this major. So I don't care how they do it. So I guess it's not a true key to the game because I didn't say how to get the win. But BYU needs to, so I guess the key to the game here is don't take the pedal off the metal. If BYU gets up by 21 points, they need to put another 21 on them. Don't look at the scoreboard until the clock hits 0. This should be an absolute thrashing. That's what Boise State did against Arizona State back in 2011. Absolute thrashing to prove that BYU and all teams like them deserve better shots going forward, and this should never happen again. So I'm sorry that this whole video kind of turned into a rant about BYU being slighted in this. I meant it to just be kind of an overall bowl game preview, but you kind of go with where the football gods guide you, you know. And so this is going to be a game that I don't think it's going to be close. Overall analysis, I think BYU will get off to a little bit of a slow start. It's kind of been their trend. I think they'll get off to a little bit of a slow start, but they will make the adjustments they need to at halftime to get a win by at least 2 to 3 scores. And if it was my way, I'd see them crushing it the entire game. That's my prediction on this. BYU with the win, calling over by a lot on the over-under here, and I think BYU is going to get a major upset in this one to prove. You know, everybody already agrees with this statement, but I think that they need to also have that evidence on paper that this matchup should not have happened. UAB, apologize that you got put in this slot. Any other time, any other bowl game, any other situation, I'd probably root for you because I like the program. I like the comeback nature of the program. And 8-4 UAB is a good year for them. But in this case, the principle of the matter, BYU needs to crush and destroy this UAB team. So, got to sacrifice you on the altar of what's best for the Power 5, for the Group of 5 overall. BYU, go out there, take care of business. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'm going to be previewing every single bowl game throughout the season here, throughout the rest of the bowl season here. I'm going to go through every single bowl game. So make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any of them. Thank you for watching this video, and as always, go Big Blue!